You want to bring on our next guest?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Hi. Hi. Oh, I thought you meant do I want to? Like, yeah, of course I do.
No, I'm
it's
just
Juan
like-
Flores. He's the superintendent of Catholic schools. Good morning, Juan.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Well, why don't you give us an update on how things are going for Catholic schools?
You know, this is our second week now of going fully online or doing full distance learning. And that varies from school to school. I got some really great reports from the schools yesterday. For the most part, every school is engaged in ways that maybe last March, April, and May, they never thought they would be engaged. But that's happening because teachers and principals voluntarily this summer, most of them voluntarily, participated in webinars, did their own professional development, just work things out to figure out what we needed to do to get ready. And that 1 week of being in class face to face really helped a lot of schools prepare for this situation. It's not ideal. It's not what we really want as far as good education is concerned, but we're definitely more prepared for it. I want to say that even after a week and a half or only a week and a half, I think the attitude in most of the schools is, while they have these plans in place, they're more than open to continue to improve those plans, that they're not going to rest until they're convinced that students are being served well. And so I'm even hearing from parents who either have concerns that the kids are on their technology devices too much, or they're not on too enough. And so I share that with the principals, and then the principals bring that back to the teachers. They have discussions, they make modifications. And it's probably the greatest example, I think, of self-improvement at the school level and among teachers. And, you know, I have a couple of examples just at one school that I'm working with directly where, you know, teachers, I would say very experienced teachers, never thought they wanted to get involved in anything technologically demanding. But even they realize that they're going to learn. They're going to do Zoom. They're going to do Google Classroom. They're going to figure out ways to respond to the children. But there are also teachers for whom, if the parents don't have devices, or if they feel the children that are too young to get them on those devices, they're calling kids every day just to check up on them and to make sure that they get some kind of instruction. And you know, I think that I've been a part of a lot of webinars since March, and the 4 pillars of distance learning that I've learned about, and I'm now convinced we've got to pay attention to: developing a sense of community, making sure you have effective communication, providing ongoing assessment of how well the kids are doing, and then paying attention to how accessible things are for students. If we pay attention to those 4 things, and I think every one of our schools is doing that, I think we're going to end up having productive teaching and learning, regardless of what the method is.
Yeah.
What about the role of parents, Juan, in assisting a lot of these students and sometimes becoming teachers themselves?
Yeah, so one of the things that the schools are challenged by is to make sure that they don't just give assignments. You know, even with hard copy programs that we're doing right now, that's the reason why the teachers are calling the students, is that if the students have challenges, they want to instruct them. There's got to be instruction going on. We're not just giving them assignments and then saying, okay, you're on your own. That was one of the biggest criticisms of distance learning from the spring, was that there wasn't enough guidance, there wasn't enough instruction from the schools. And that's the thing that we're trying to work on the most, I think, is to make sure that there is instruction. And in some cases, that's full on all day online programs. The kids follow the daily schedule and they're engaged with their teachers all day. And in other cases, it's in very measured quantities. So the kids are online for a little bit and then they do some work and then they come out and come back, and the teachers have, I would call it, virtual office hours. So if the kids had any questions, that's not to minimize the role of the parents. It's to support the parents, because many of the parents, especially those who are working still, feel that they need that support. And if their children need to learn something, then they're going to turn to the teachers. The parents are there to make sure, one, that the kids are safe when they're online, and two, to support them, even if it means to help them articulate their questions or their problems, because that might happen. That the parents are the ones who identify whether the kids even have an issue or have a problem with the learning that's taking place. And I think parents can play a role. Any parent that I talk to, I encourage them to communicate with the schools. And it doesn't mean the schools are going to change their programs because of one parent, but I bet that most of those schools, all of the schools actually, pay attention to what the parents have to offer and the concerns they bring up.
For like my son's school, they have been very accommodating. I think we had a whole group meeting over the weekend, and parents had voiced their concerns about the exposure to the blue light, and so they're making modifications to that. I think just for me though, I'm like having to learn Google Classroom, Google Meets, and all of this, and it can be a little overwhelming. But I see my son, and he's actually grasping it, and he's kind of learning it. But then he'll ask me, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah. And
So
then Bree
so
will
am I
ask
having to
Jason.
like let me look this up, and then and call Jason. Like, Jason, can you help me? Can you email this for me, because I can't do this and that. But
I'm tech support.
so it's kind of a learning curve for parents having to try and
Right.
learn all of this stuff too.
And Juan, we had Dr. Lombard on about the impact of screens and the blue light glasses, and I can send you the link to that interview if you want to pass that on to the teaching community. It was very, very
Great.
interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually just invited our school principals to participate in a national webinar on the role of parents in distance learning. It's sponsored by offered by the National Catholic Education Association and by a company called Eduscape. And the whole purpose of it is to make sure that it's actually a webinar that parents could actually participate in themselves to find out the extent to which they could support what their kids are doing. And I think that's important. This is probably the best example of how a true partnership can take place between the teachers and the parents.
Yeah. Well, I'd be interested in actually watching that myself. So hopefully I'll get the link.
Yeah, send the link to the link, Juan, and we'll link it up.
Was there anything
I'll
else,
link
Juan,
the link.
you needed to get out before we let you go?
The only thing that I am very conscious of, when we talk about accessibility, we're always paying attention to whether or not families have the right access to not just devices, but to internet access. And that's a discussion actually that was started in March. I remember going to a meeting at the Homeland Security, and we sat with it was a phone conference with all the telecom companies. And I think if we want to level the playing field for all kids, I hope that's an area that we look at where we find ways to provide some access to families that may not have them. And while we're not seeing it in a big way with the Catholic school families, there still are pockets of concerns there among Catholic school families that they may not have the right access. And so I hope that some of the discussions from March can be put into play in terms of having community centers for internet access, or find a way for the entire island to be under Wi-Fi, which I know that's a dream, but
Yeah.
I wish we could do it.
Well, hey, dreams come true sometimes. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Wash your
care.
hands,
Care.
okay, and keep us posted.
Wash your hands. Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
Send the
Bye.
link.
Dr. Juan Flores. What's up with our people who are tired this morning? You
Tired?
feel it. I feel it just like,
I know. I was this morning.
yeah, I'm not, guys. I'm here for you guys.
Yep.
9:03.